I already know. Here, let me fix this damn camera a little bit. I already know what everybody's thinking. Why was Sebastian Aho shooting right-handed and wearing number 36 tonight? We'll get to that. We'll recap the game a little bit, and then I'm going to talk about some specific notes that I took. Now, I didn't take them on every prospect because that stuff was happening way faster than I could write. And as you can tell, I took quite a few tonight. So I decided to just focus strictly on particular players. I put a lot more notes down about Charles Alexis Legault than I wanted to, but I'm also a nerd for shutdown defensemen. So please forgive me for that. That being said, me being as objective as I possibly can, that kid really, really, really impressed me tonight, amongst many other things. So we'll go over the game first. I didn't get many notes about the game in general. It was more so about the particular prospects I was watching. I'll try to pay more attention to different ones tomorrow if I get to watch the game, which I should be able to. So, and on top of that, good evening, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to the weekend. All right. So overall, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the overall game here. I'll try and pay a little bit more attention to the goalies at one of these games as well. Let's do some comments real quick, and then we'll get into it. Caniac Sessions for Carolina Hurricanes fans. You guys, if you've watched me before, you definitely know who they are. Felix Unger-Sorm is good at hockey. Yeah, he is. I mean, we already knew that, but he was not the one I was expecting to impress me the most tonight. I had that narrowed down to two players, and that was that was Jackson Blake and Bradley Nadeau. And Felix Unger-Sorm absolutely cleared both of them tonight. And playing a position that he was not drafted to play. So, like I said, I had one comment from somebody on here, and I think this was back a while ago on one of my older videos. Branderis Troxeris or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is, but he's been a longtime supporter of the channel. He's been here since less than 100 subscribers. And he said that he thought Felix Unger-Sorm, that he saw a Sebastian Aho 2.0 player. And I said that I saw more of a Teuvo Teravainen 2.0 player. After tonight, I'm not convinced I was right about that. I think Branderis was the one who was right about that. And good eye on him, because I did not get that type of observation at all from what I saw of Felix Unger-Sorm. Granted, this is the first time I've watched him play since the World Junior Hockey Championship, but I can tell a significant difference in Felix Unger-Sorm's game. He's taken it to another level. He really has. So, BTS, not the band. I'm going through allergies, so bear with me. LOL, also yellow. Yeah, me and the girlfriend and both dogs are dealing with them, especially the dogs, the poor dogs this time of year. Troll Trades says, hey, what's up, bud? Good to see you. All right, so overall notes of the game. The Carolina Hurricanes won 7-4. The first goal was scored by Antonin Verreau from Anthony Honka. Justin Robidoux got a goal from
Salami. I keep wanting to say salami. I guess I'm hungry, and I really like Italian subs. Robida from Lavoie. Felix Unger-Sorm with his first of 2 goals from the night from Noel Gunler and Bradley Nadeau. The game winner was Felix Unger-Sorm, and it was a tip-in off of a Noel Gunler shot that came through the point, I believe it was. Like I said, I paid attention to everything in the game as much as I could, but I took a lot of notes. I wish I had time to throw them on a slide, but I think I'll be able to just get through here and talk about them and everything like that and read off my notes and everything. Noel Gunler, this is all I'm really going to say about him because I didn't watch him a whole lot because, like I said, I'm looking up and watching something for a little bit, taking notes. Mike Whack. Hello. Good to see you, buddy. You thought you were going to get me again with that, didn't you? Let's see. Some other notes that I had here. Noel Gunler, I felt like got better as the game went along. He became much more noticeable in the third period. And I took notice of that a lot more in the third period, but he really played in the third period like he wants a job. I think that was the end of my overall notes, really, because like I said, I didn't take a lot of notes specific to the entire game itself. All right, so we will go over the players that I have notes on here. And then if you guys have any comments about any other players, go ahead, please throw them in the comment section and we'll take a look at those and everything. All right. So what I have here, I will start out with Charles Alexis Legault because, I was really impressed with this kid. I mean, part of that's personal bias because I like that type of player a whole lot. He uses his size, reach, and good positioning well to deny zone entries. One particular play, he forced a turnover at the defensive blue line that led to a scoring chance. So what I mean by that is that he's one of those guys that he steps up at the right time at the blue line. He uses his size, uses a reach, gets the stick in there, makes a quick poke check, and sends it back the other way, but he does so with intent of exactly where he wants to place the puck, and it led to a scoring chance. And plays like that, they kind of fly under the radar. Those are the type of plays that intangibles, as they're called, that a lot of players bring, and they're kind of underappreciated. So with Charles Alexis Legault, I see kind of a Joel Edmondson type of player, but it looks like he's got a little bit more of an offensive mind, and his skating is really damn good for someone as big as he is. Other notes that I have on him: uses long stride to join the rush or get back. He covers a lot of ice quickly, can join the rush at will, but seems to prefer when there's a ton of open ice and it being a low-risk play. He's a very active defenseman, even though he's got a defense-first mindset. Now, what I mean by that, and I talked about this in my Nikishin video, when I say an active defenseman, I mean that's someone who moves their feet a whole lot at the point. They're in constant motion. They always have momentum underneath their feet, so that way when they want to take off the other way and go to a full forward stride and then pivot backwards to defend off the rush, or whether they want to be in constant motion already, so that way if they decide they want to pinch and retain the offensive zone, they're already in motion to do that. And that's what it seems like he likes to do. He likes to have his feet moving all the time, and I noticed at times when he did pinch, and he didn't do it very much, at times when he did pinch, he was very decisive about it. He used the size, and he was already in motion because he keeps his feet moving. So that was one thing that I really liked. And then the last note that I have on him, let me see right here. Oh, and the other thing, when I say that he'll join the rush at will, he'll do it at times. He doesn't do it a whole lot. He seems to only do it if it seems like it's a 99% chance that he will join the rush and have enough open ice to make an entry, and that's the only time he'll do it. So kind of like Jacob Slavin does, he doesn't like to join the rush really often, and when he does, it's a pretty low-risk thing because he will only do it if he sees that he has a clear lane to the other end of the ice. And I see a lot of that with Charles Alexis Legault, and a little bit more of a defensive, a lot more of a physical style of defense, and he does not hesitate to hit people. He's very physical. Having size is one thing, but you got to know how to use it. You're going to see a lot of that with Nikishin, but Charles Alexis Legault, I know that we probably won't see him for a while. It'll be a few years, but I was really impressed with that game. He looks like an excellent right-handed shutdown guy who can contribute some offense primarily through putting pucks on net and joining the rush at very seldom times, and being able to use his frame, use his size, use his power skating ability to break through, make clean entries, get shots on net. And then, like I said, he covers a lot of ice really fast, so he can get back to the point really quick. So that impressed me a whole lot about him. We'll get some more comments here. BTS says, I'm not really into prospects, so every time you say a player, I'm going to say who. There's one of them you're going to hear a whole lot about tonight that I think everyone's going to know who he is soon. If he continues to play like he did tonight, and y'all already know who I'm talking about, if he continues to play like he did tonight, people are going to be like, wow, where did we find a right-handed Sebastian Aho? Because he did a lot of things that reminded me of Aho tonight. I'm going to spend the reason I'm saving him for last is Felix Unger-Sorum is going to take up most of the show. Let me see if I got any texts here. No, okay. All right. Because I was going to see if anybody wanted to join me from Caniac Sessions or Caniac Report. BTS says, I know some, but not many. Yeah, and I only keep up with the really big ones. Like, if you want to know stuff about prospects, the Canes prospect guy, he knows everything. He knows more about Timur Cole than most people know about any player, not even just prospects, anybody on the Canes. So, like, he's just really on top of that stuff. His information is really great. If you guys don't follow him, which I'm pretty sure every single Hurricanes fan does, if you don't follow that guy, like, he is it when it comes to Canes prospects. I tend to stick to the big ones. I tend to stick to like the top 6 or 7 guys that you think are going to make the team. So I have an extensive cast iron coverage on people like Nikishin, Morrow. Trikazov's now joined that list as well. I was really impressed with his game tonight too. Sorry, Bray, I skipped over you there, buddy. What's up, man? Good to see you. Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff to talk about here tonight. Caniac Sessions for Carolina Hurricanes. Good to see you, bud. Can't jump on tonight, not home, listening from my phone. Okay, cool. That'll work. Thank you for joining us either way, though. I appreciate that. So let me get to the next prospect. I have some notes on here. So Bradley Nadeau. He was not as noticeable as a lot of people may anticipate. Don't worry about that. One of the things that I noticed tonight with Bradley Nadeau, Tampa, they know the guy's a scoring threat, right? So they were working really hard to shut him down and take away open ice from him because he loves to look for open ice. And that's part of the reason why he scores so much is he gets open and he has time to do whatever he wants to do with the puck. Yeah, he can fit it in a coin slot, but when you have enough time to make a sandwich and you can make that time and space for yourself like he does, it works out even better. So that's what they were preventing him from doing tonight. That is actually good for him because then that's what he's going to experience at the NHL level. He's going to experience getting tough matchups where he has to make his own time and space, where he has to fight through defensemen who are significantly bigger than him, where he has to have NHL caliber players back checking on him, and he has even less time, less space to do anything with the puck, much less pick a corner and shoot it. So that's good for him to start getting used to those type of matchups now. So don't be worried about him. Like, everything will be all right in that regard. It's just that's good experience for him to have. Now, as far as the rest of my notes about him, shows confidence with possession, will go into corners and absorb contact and try to make plays fearless, very forecheck hungry in the offensive zone. Now, when it comes to Bradley Nadeau, I think that, okay, he's playing with his comforter. I was looking at my dog back there. So when it comes to Bradley Nadeau, if there's any, I don't want to say serious defensive deficiencies, but if there's any areas of improvement when it comes to the defensive side of his game, I think it will be more so in the neutral zone and the defensive zone. That being said, he made a very impressive play during one of the penalty kills tonight that I did take note of. And I think that if there's an issue defensively, like I said, it'll be in the other 2/3 of the ice. As far as the offensive zone goes, I did not see any issues with him knowing when to forecheck and when to just take away the middle of the ice or take away one side of the ice, depending on who was already in there. If he was the F1, he was really hungry. If he was the F2, he was where he needed to be in the offensive zone. If there's improvements to be made in Bradley Nadeau's game, it's going to be mostly in the neutral zone, the defensive zone. The offensive zone game, as far as being a forechecker and working hard to go retrieve pucks and get shots on net and everything, he's got a lot of that already. It'll improve over time, but I really feel like he's got that foundation in his game already to be a really dangerous player in that zone, with or without the puck, whether the Hurricanes have the puck at that moment or the opposing team has that puck at the moment. It seems like he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be valuable in all those situations from the offensive blue line to the goal line. So I think he looked really good tonight. So let's see what else we got here on him. Oh, I already mentioned this, but, he's getting the tough matchups. Now, another thing I noticed about him, Bradley Nadeau, and this also applies to Jackson Blake, who I've got a decent amount of notes on too. Bradley Nadeau loves coast-to-coast plays. He loves to cut to the middle of the ice in the neutral zone or cut to the middle of the ice right after entry, so that way it makes it harder to step up on him, and he's got good enough skating ability to where not only he can cut to the middle, he can button hook really hard, he can punch turn really hard, and keep that play alive, keep possession of the puck, and skate around defenders even when they're trying to angle him off and taking all the time and space away from him you can, pushing him towards the boards and everything. It seems like with the way he skates, he gets really low, he can protect the puck, but more than anything, it's his ability to skate and do it quickly, get around those guys, cut all the way from one side of the ice all the way back to the other, and shoot whenever he wants to, as far as getting into the high slot or right in front of the net, in between the dots. He does a lot of good things with possession already. And when he's in a position to be offensively minded, like when someone else makes an entry, he knows where to go, where he's going to be the biggest scoring threat should he get possession of that puck. And if that doesn't work out immediately, then he goes to the front of the net. So you will get a lot of clean looks with Bradley Nadeau. You'll get a lot of sniper type goals, but you'll also get a lot of goals where it's just hard work and going and getting the greasy ones. So very impressed with him tonight as well. All righty. So we moved on from Bradley Nadeau. Now, I did not take a ton of notes on Gleb Trikazov, so I'm going to do the ones on Scott Morrow here first. Scott Morrow, good at quarterbacking breakouts, allows for teammates to get open, patient with possession. Now, what I mean by that is that when he's quarterbacking a breakout, so like you set up behind the net, you have a line change, or you have guys who are coming back into the zone, turning around and going back out of the zone, and they're looking for open ice. They're trying to become passing options and make sure that they're not getting covered by anybody. What Scott Morrow was doing really, really well tonight in the defensive zone was he was waiting for that ideal opportunity to make that pass to maybe not the safest option, but the best option. So if the best option was to send it cross ice back to his other defenseman and stay in the defensive zone another second while you look for a better passing option up ice, he did it. If he had an immediate good passing option up ice, he did it. So very excellent vision from the defensive zone when quarterbacking a breakout. Adversely to that, it's also like, okay, I don't have a good lane to skate here. Do I want to curl back with it, or do I want to skate it myself? So part of the reason that the term quarterbacking the breakout, and this also applies to the power play in a way, sort of, and I'll get to that in a little bit. Another way that another reason that's called quarterbacking is because you do have to make a decision. Am I going to run the ball, or am I going to throw the ball? Do I want to throw a bullet, or do I want to throw a lob? It's kind of the same situation. It's just the difference is you're on ice, and it's way more it's like way more consequential if you make a mistake with it, as far as what the immediate effect of it will be if you don't do it right. So when he hikes the puck, if you will, when he has the puck in the defensive zone, he's good at making that decision. Do I want to skate up? Do I want to pass it? How far do I want to skate up before I want to pass it? Or do I just want to try and send it 100 feet from, the circle in the defensive zone, catch somebody on a breakout, all that type of stuff. So he's really good at that. He'll get better. Now, I did note that the defensive awareness needed some work. On Tampa's first goal, he got burned, but then he improved as the game went along. It seemed like when he made that defensive mistake where he kind of got caught flat-footed that led to Tampa's first goal, it seems like after that, sorry, I got distracted by that text I just got. AB, if you're watching this, I'll send it to you in a second, buddy. AB from Caniac Sessions will join us momentarily. So damn it, AB, you made me lose my train of thought. What was I doing? Let me look at my notes again. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so he had a light bulb moment from that goal, I think. He realized, okay, I made a mistake there, and in his defensive game, I think improved a lot over the course of the game. It got a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better as things went along. So that's going to need some work, but we all know Morrow is an offensively minded defenseman. He leans a little bit more to the offensive side of the game, so he's going to have moments like that. But hockey is a sport, especially since the era of two-line pass ended. Possession changes quicker and more often in hockey than it does in any other sport, and the only playing surface that I'm aware of anyway that's smaller than a standard NHL or North America-sized ice rink is a basketball court. So you have to have those guys who make those quick plays on transition. Otherwise, you're not going to score goals and you're not going to make plays. You're not going to win. So you need guys like Morrow, even though maybe he looks like he has a little bit of defensive drawback at the moment, but it also looks like he has the foundation to be in all situations defenseman. And I can see him killing penalties eventually. He's got a lot of size. He's got a lot of reach, and he can skate really well. If you have those things, a lot of times you can build other parts of your game to make yourself even better. And he has all that. So let me get AB a link here real quick, and then we will continue the show. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. Yeah. So AB should be joining us here in a little bit, which is cool. I haven't got to have him on here in a little while. All righty. So we got that taken care of. All right. So then the next note that I had on Scott Morrow, he's proficient when tight on the blue line. He can manage the puck in high risk situations. You saw that a few times tonight. And more than anything, he's a quick decision maker. And what I mean by that, when he's in those high risk situations where he's like walking around the blue line and everything like that, and I noticed a little bit of it in the other two zones, but particularly at the offensive zone blue line, that split second after he first gets the puck, it's hard to tell. Is he going to pass it or is he going to shoot it? Is he going to skate with it? He has that very, very fluid motion with his edge work and everything. So it's like he'll start to pivot. There's a lot of players you can see them pivot their skates, or they make some sort of motion with their hands or something like that that indicates, okay, this guy's going to pass or shoot, or this guy's going to skate it. Scott Morrow, it's hard to read what he's going to do, and that's really good when you play in those high-risk situations like he does. So a lot to be happy about there with Scott Morrow. I do think he'll benefit from a year in the minors, and then after that, I think he'll be ready. I do expect him to see some NHL time at some point this season. Defensemen do take a little bit longer to develop, and we don't need to rush him. We're plenty deep at the blue line, so high hopes for the kid. I just don't think that we're going to see a whole lot of him this year, but definitely I think that he could be that guy that's alongside Slavin or alongside Nikishin in the future. He can be the PP1 or PP2 quarterback in the future. So a lot to like there. All right, so Trikazov, I don't have a ton of notes about him, but I really did like what I saw of him tonight. So can use the body to protect the puck, distribute or chip it to a teammate even when covered, and then immediately look for open ice. So what I mean by that is, and we'll talk about this a lot with Felix Unger-Sorum, when... All right, let me get AB on the stage here. And there we go. All right, I like that view better. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Did you freeze already?
Oh, you cut out.
You froze for a second. You're still there you are. Wave at me.
You see me?
Yeah, it's just a little, it's got a little latency to it for some reason. I'm not sure. I'm sorry.
No, you're all good.
Okay. But yeah, so let me keep going through the rest of these notes here, and then we'll talk about this stuff a whole lot more. So Trikazov, when I say that he can use his body to protect the puck, distribute or chip it into a teammate even when covered, then immediately look for open ice. You have someone like Felix Unger-Sorum who showed a lot of deceptive stuff with the puck tonight. He baits somebody in, and then he'll use his skating to get around them, bait them in, and throw a pass or skate it up ice, one or the other. He makes the move at the right time. Trikazov is just a big dude, and you try to take the puck away from him, and he's like, yeah, no thanks, you're not taking that. So he'll chip it past you, especially like in the offensive zone. And immediately after that, when I noticed a couple of times that he chipped the puck off the boards when he had somebody on him tonight, it wasn't just to get it into the zone. He had someone specifically in mind he wanted to get it to, and then immediately he went and found open ice after that or went to the front of the net. So we've got a decent power forward on our hands, it looks like, here with Gleb Trikazov. So let's see what other notes I got here. And then this is kind of an extension of what I was just saying. He initiates board battles because he's big and he's strong and he knows he can win them. So it's like he baits guys into battles he knows he can win. Winning board battles is a very, very underrated thing. And the more you can do it, the better. You can drive more possession. You can get more shots on that, especially when you win them in the offensive zone below the goal line and you get the puck out to the front of the net. And then you have someone who's a scoring threat like Bradley Nadeau, Felix Unger-Sorum, or Jackson Blake is. And then after that, they can finish on those types of chances, and they just come from elbow grease. They come from grinding. They come from hard work. So Trikazov definitely gives you that, but he's got the skill to boot. His skating definitely is more of a power skating type of skating as opposed to a edge work-based type of skating like Jackson Blake has, and we're going to talk about him in a moment. But I was really, really impressed with Trikazov tonight. And then the next one here, AB, how about you tell us what you think about some stuff before I go on to the last two prospects I'm going to talk about tonight?
Well, I didn't really watch that much of the game, but I really thought Scott Morrow did a really good job of controlling the puck and being that first-line defenseman with that prospect showcase. Did a very good job, and then Felix Unger-Sorum is on a different level.
I mean, I got to see if he maintains this. I think he can, but I'm trying not to get my hopes up right now, but I saw a player that I was not expecting to see tonight with Felix Storm at all.
Especially with him playing center. That was
That
what caught
surprised
my
me.
eye as well. And he did pretty well on the faceoffs.
Yeah,
So
if they
I'm
ever
not
post
like
game
trying
stats,
to I'm not trying to say he's going to be our fourth line center or anything, but this guy is 19 years old. Last year, he was very close to making the opening night roster.
if there had been a spot, he would have been on the team.
Oh, 100%.
And that's the only reason he got sent back.
Yeah, and he's gonna be in the AHL this year. And if you have somebody go down, that's the guy that you bring up immediately on offense.
That's what it looks like right now.
This guy, he may be a little shorter, but he can do everything on offense. A great passer, can shoot. Wrist shot is phenomenal.
Yeah,
and it just his skating is amazing. He can get in front of the net, and he's able to work around.
You froze again, didn't you?
The player work around it. He's able to move really quick. And some centers, they can't do that. They'll stay in one position, but especially with him, 5'10", young guy, I expect that this guy is going to play for the Canes in the regular season, and I would not be surprised if when he plays a couple of games that he's on the top 9.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at that either. So, but we're going to talk a lot about Felix Storm here in a second. Let's talk about Jackson Blake a little bit first. So, Jackson Blake, one of the first things that I saw about him was on the Elite Prospect Scouting Report. Works well in tight spaces, which is what the scouting report says. He prefers that over open ice. I noticed that a lot too. He loves to do those little quick give and go type of plays. He's relentless on the puck. This was exemplified during the shorthanded breakaway that he had, and I want to say that was the second period. He's more of a quick foot skater than a power skater, which may explain why he likes to work in tight. He tends to do the short, choppy steps, and where a lot of people have a lot of stride extension, he just has a really quick stride and does it over and over again. And that allows him to trade or change directions really quickly. And I think that's why he likes to work in close around the net and everything like that. Now, I am not trying to draw a one-for-one comparison here when I say this. I'm not saying that this is a direct comparison, but talking about that type of skating, I am particularly referring to the best example of it is Matt Barzal, as far as being someone who takes those short, choppy steps and those short strides, but he's a really effective skater because of how quick he can change directions and how much space he can cover just by doing that. Jackson Blake kind of gives me that same vibe, and that shorthanded breakaway he got on was one of those situations where I was like, okay, yeah, this kid's not a long stride power skater, but he's got the quick feet. You know, that's how he does it. He does the short, choppy steps launch and then the quick feet to skate. So that was the other thing I noticed about him that I really liked. Now, he likes the coast-to-coast game as well, like I was mentioning with Bradley Nadeau. He enters the zone well, and he can do it quickly to drive to the front of the net or offset speed to create more options. Now, what I mean by that is that when he goes in on entry, he can make a decision. I can take this to the house myself, or I can slow down, bait somebody in, go around, or maybe cut back or hit the brakes right at the blue line to allow, more options to open up in the offensive zone. So it seems like he can take it straight to the net, or he can hold up and create more passing options at will. And that's a really, really good thing because the Hurricanes have lacked clean entries, and that leads to lacking goals. The Hurricanes have lacked clean entries a lot over the past few seasons, and that's part of the reason why they have had a lot of issues scoring is because they give up possession too much on entry and have to dump it in. Jackson Blake could potentially cure a little bit of that issue, or at least mitigate it, I would say. Not immediately, but over the course of time. Let's see. And then the last thing about Jackson Blake, good puck retrieval instinct on both sides of the puck. Now, what I mean by that is if Jackson Blake is in a position to forecheck, then he will do it, and he'll do it at the right times, it seems like. What I really mean by it is in the defensive zone when he's covering his points, he knows the perfect moment to, okay, I need to step down here and help out the other guys defending in my zone and leave the point unattended because this is a good time for me to come down, get the puck, and then he skates it out really well from there, because that's an art, not a science, knowing when to come down from the point when you're defending it, grab the puck, and then take it the other way. He did that really well several times tonight, especially as the game went on. So I think in the man defense system that Brind'Amour likes to run, Blake will be an excellent fit for that. Yeah, that was my last note on Blake. Now, I have an entire PDF page basically here for Felix Unger-Sorum. We have a lot to talk about when it comes to Felix Unger-Sorum.
What you drinking is the question.
Spindrift sparkling water.
Sparkling water? Oh, that looks like a beer.
Oh no, I don't do that much to begin with, but I've really cut back on it lately because I've been going to the gym every day.
Man.
Yeah,
good for you.
I've been going to the gym every day. I feel a lot better. I quit drinking energy drinks entirely. I haven't had one of those in like 2 weeks.
I can't do energy drinks anymore. Mm-hmm. I work out every day, but energy.
If I had one now, it would kill me. I really think. And I lived off of them when I was on active duty.
Yeah, if I were to take like energy drinks, or I one time got 5 Hour Energy, and my God, I couldn't sleep for 24 hours.
You know what I used to have for breakfast when I was in the Navy?
What's that?
An energy drink, usually either a Monster or a Rip It. I don't know if you ever heard of those. Those things are pure caffeine.
Yeah.
And some Skull Wintergreen Long Cut. That was my breakfast for about 7 years. Unless I got up early enough and I could stop and get a McGriddle or a McMuffin, and then I would do that.
You were in the Army.
No, I was in the Navy.
Navy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would be lying to you if I said there was a McDonald's on the ship, but that's not what happened. But like when I was stateside, I would go do that. But yeah, it was that used to be my breakfast, and then sometimes I'd eat breakfast on the ship because breakfast on the ship was actually pretty damn good. That was
what battleship were you on?
I wasn't on a battleship. I was on a destroyer. Battleships have been out of service for a long time. Yeah,
okay.
I was on a destroyer for my first 4 years that I was in, and then I went around to ships teaching them how to do my job that I did for the last 3. And then they were like, "You want to stay in?" I'm like, "No, fuck you. I'm done."
Well, we know you and I both know the story with that. But anyway,
yeah,
go to FUS.
Let's see. All right. So Felix Unger-Sorum, like you said, he was good in the circle. My first note here is good back check, solid in face-off circle. The reason I wrote those two things together is because on the rare occasion that he did lose a face-off, he knew when to let his winger go try and get the guy that had the puck and when to just back off and take away the middle of the ice. I found that very impressive. That's pretty cerebral stuff from, he's what, 20 years old? Like, that's
I think
impressive.
He's 19, maybe.
He's
20,
only 19?
whatever.
Either way, cerebral stuff from a kid who's either 19 or 20. He works hard and draws penalties. He frustrates defenders with the ability to protect the puck with edge work and strong pivoting. And one thing that I saw in that aspect of his game, you know, the 10 and 2 pivot that Jeff Skinner used to do and how he would pick up speed when he did it, and it used to piss people off. Felix, I don't know if he's gaining speed when he does it, because Jeff Skinner's the only guy I've ever seen be able to do that. It looked like Felix Unger-Sorum at a minimum was maintaining his same speed when he went into the 10 and 2 turn, or as it's been called, the Mohawk turn. Please don't cancel me. And stuff like that to be able to protect the puck and put his vision where he wanted to, keep his stick point in the direction that he wanted to, distribute the puck how he wanted to, or hold on to it. Like, that was really impressive to me. I saw him do that in preseason and in camp last year, but it seems like he's even better at it now. Like, this kid looks remarkably different. Like, he's on another level now.
When we saw Jeff Skinner, he would be the king of a stop and start.
Yeah.
And when he would stop, he'd immediately go before anybody went. And I see the same thing with Unger-Sorum.
He did that a lot tonight.
Oh, he's quick. No matter if he loses the face-off or if he's on the right wing, he reacts instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have him on an NHL roster, you need a guy that can react quick. And there's some guys that are, top 10 picks that can't react that quick.
Yeah.
But Unger Sorum is one of those guys where I've seen him react in less than a second,
Yeah.
where he
No,
can just go immediately. And that's what you need in a guy that could be a center or be a right winger. Yes, he played center this game. If he loses, he reacts immediately.
mm-hmm.
And I think what's really nice is he's setting an example for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they can't be like him. They can learn, but
Mm-hmm.
when you have a guy that can react that quick, your line mates are going to say, "Hey, we need to do the same thing."
Mm-hmm. And
And
see,
that's what's really cool about him.
you know what's really funny that you mentioned that? Guess what my next note is?
What's that?
Stands out with possession, holds on an extra second, and distributes at the perfect moment when he's in tight in the offensive zone or needing to make a long pass or a breakout play. Stops and starts at the perfect time and then makes the next best decision after that.
There you go.
You and I saw, I think pretty much everyone saw the same thing with this kid.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, why the fuck is Aho out there? That's what I saw tonight. Now, is he going to be that good long term? We can hope, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. And then my next note was can carry 200 feet when more advantageous to do so as opposed to passing. Did so even more in the second period.
Yeah.
So here's something else that I noticed. A lot of people compared this kid to Teravainen, myself included.
Oh, okay.
Excellent decision making, a calculated hesitancy to shoot, though. And what I mean by a calculated hesitancy to shoot, Teravainen wouldn't shoot the puck if his life depended on it in certain situations. With Unger Sorum, it seems a little bit more calculated. He'll hold on to it for a split second to get somebody to sell out and try and block a shot. And then he takes the extra step, drags it a little bit more, and then shoots it. Now, Teravainen could do that at times, but there were times where I was kind of like, bro, shoot the damn puck. It's a perfect opportunity. You're right in between the dots. Shoot it. Unger Sorum does not seem to have that much hesitancy in his game to shoot. It's much more calculated. If he doesn't shoot, he's waiting to open up an opportunity to have a better chance.
That's right.
That's what I saw a lot tonight with him. I really did. Elevates his game. It seemed like that as the game went on and he needed to do more, when he needed to rise to the occasion, like you were talking about, kind of play driving for his line mates and everything, he did it. And his hand-eye coordination, I know that they all have good hand-eye coordination because they're professional athletes.
Really damn good.
His is very good. It's like there's no disconnect between his hands, his feet, and his brain like we've seen with a lot of other players, at least not right now. Now, once he's playing in the NHL against grown men every night that have been playing for several years, it might be a little bit of a problem, and he'll have a little bit more of a learning curve. But right now, I'm going to keep a particular eye on how well he plays these next 3 games. Because right now it's like the front office and Rod and all of them are kind of like, yo, we can't send this kid down this time. I don't think there's anything. If he keeps playing like this all through camp and all through preseason, there is nothing that he can learn at the American Hockey League level. He looks like he's been playing on North American ice already.
Oh, 100%. And I think just where he came from, I get, if guys play in the Canadian leagues, but you also now, the way that hockey is evolved, European leagues are a totally different ball game. And he's done a really good job. Like you said, he's a little bit hesitant on the shots, kind of like Teravainen. But with Teravainen, he wasn't as active as Unger Sorum was. And I think that when he gets to the NHL and he has a coach like Rod Brindamore, he'll kind of start to develop where, hey, I need to shoot the puck. And we've seen Teravainen do that. And he had a 20-goal season, I think 2 years ago. And he's just been constant whenever he has had the go-ahead to be like, hey, I need to shoot the puck. I think Unger Sorum is the same way. I get, hey, you're a rookie, pass it around a little bit. But even if you're a rookie, you cannot be afraid to pull the trigger. And I understand that rookies struggle with that unless you're like a top 10 pick, you're going to pull the trigger. But the way that Unger Sorum is playing, he needs to be the person to say, hey, look for the pass, but again, don't be afraid to shoot it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the one thing that but no, I already feel like I see a better player than what I saw with Teravainen. And I like Tavo, but that's who everyone was saying that this guy was a carbon copy of.
No.
That's not what I saw tonight.
Mm-mm.
That is the most similar player I've seen us have to Sebastian Aho yet.
Yeah.
That is the closest I've seen to someone emulating his game. I don't know if somebody spotted that in advance and said, hey, let's just try him out at center. But somebody somewhere made a good decision doing that, because now it's like, okay, we have another option, because there's always that question mark about the whole second line center thing. I really hope KK bounces back, but we have to prepare in the event that he does not.
Question mark. We have talked about that.
But yeah, that's all I've got on all the prospect notes and everything like that. But right now, I don't see any way that, I know that we only have a small sample size right now, and that things will change over the course of the next 3 games, and then camp starts right after that. And then you got the preseason games and everything. And we may be saying something completely different in 2 weeks, but honestly, dude, I don't see that right now. I right now, Felix Unger-Storm is number 1 to make the team out of camp.
I really think he's close. I didn't watch Nadeau at all. Did he play?
Yeah, he played. And one of the things that I said about Nadeau before I was able to send you the link and get you in here, I wouldn't put a whole lot of stock in this. Okay, one, I don't think he played bad. I think he played well. One thing tonight, and like I was saying before you got in here, one of the good things about tonight is that he got used to people playing a really tight defensive game against him, because they know that he's a scoring threat. They're going to work extra hard to shut him down. When David
100%.
Pastrnak or Jason Robertson comes to town, you're going out of your way to try and keep the puck off their stick. You're trying to make sure if they do get the puck, the offense dies on their stick, that you get in there and you block a shot, you lay a body on them, you gap up on them quickly as possible to prevent them from having time to do anything. Bradley Nadeau was dealing with a little bit of that tonight, where they were gapping up on him real quick and not giving him a lot of space, and I still think he played well. And that's a good thing for him to go ahead and start getting used to now, because he's going to have to deal with this at the NHL level.
Yeah, my thing is with Nadeau, he's obviously going to make the opening night roster. And
I'm not so convinced anymore, bro. Not after the way Felix Unger-Storm plays.
That is what I said. I said, and Griff said no, and all the polls said no. I would rather put Jordan Martinook on the second line than put Nadeau on the second line, because you already have Marty Natchez. You already have KK. Well, KK is a totally different story. But you're putting a rookie out there with KK, who is up and down. Natchez is obviously a great player, but from my bracket, I want Nadeau to learn from somebody like Jordan Staal. To have Jordan Staal obviously has a checking line. I want Jordan Staal to be there and Nadeau, because before you had Martinook, Staal, and Fost. Fost is not going to play this year, which sucks.
Yeah.
But
you don't realize how important a guy like that is until he's gone.
100%. But why would you throw Nadeau on the second line with Kokoniemi and Natchez? I would rather put him on the third line, bump Jordan Martinook up. It doesn't matter where he plays. He has always been great. You need a guy that is defensive. You need an offensive guy. And then you need a whatever it may be. If it's Ross on the right wing or anything.
I'm not rolling my eyes at you. It's just they're itching really bad because it's allergy season.
No, you're good.
I'm just letting you know that, because I'm about to disagree with you, and I don't want you to think, oh fuck, not this shit.
No. But I'm just saying Nadeau's young. Why not be on the same line as the captain who has won a Stanley Cup, has been through it all, and would you rather be paired with KK, who is, but still, he's a good player, and Marty Natchez, who is a great player.
Yeah.
If I were Rod, I'd want Nadeau to have a guy like Jordan Staal on his line. However, I know Jordan Staal is very heavy on the forecheck and very heavy on the back check. But if you have a guy like Nadeau, we've seen Martinook, Stahl, and Jarvis before, and it's ended up well. You have guys that can forecheck and back check like Martinook and Stahl, and you have a guy like Seth Jarvis who can do both, but it's more offensively sound about everything. Why not put Nadeau there? That's my opinion.
So no, I understand why you think that. Okay, so see, this is why I was hoping Griff could be on here, because I remember when I did the Martinook, Stahl, Blake line thing in the comments on one of y'all's last shows.
Yeah.
I am more convinced that I'm right about that after tonight with the way that Jackson Blake played.
Okay.
Oh, and one other thing I forgot to mention about Blake, dude's got hands, and I think he would add a little bit of an offensive punch to that line. Kind of like, so Jarvis did that when he was playing with them. I don't want Jarvis back down there. Jarvis needs to be in the top 6.
Absolutely.
So that's why I was like, I would rather put Jackson Blake on that line, and you can fast track his development a little bit, because he would get more minutes if he played with the Wolves, but he'll get more important minutes playing with Jordan Stahl and Jordan Martinook, because he'll be at the NHL level. So it'll be a lot more valuable, even though his time on ice would be a little bit lower.
That's
and
right.
Then he's still got that scoring touch, and it's be like, okay, it's a season later, you can bump him up, or even maybe even sooner. Probably not, but maybe. Nadeau, I want him in the top 6 basically off the hop, because that's the type of role he's going to fill. Jarvis got top 6 minutes pretty much from the outset, whereas Svechnikov and Natchez at times were buried a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that here's where the new dilemma is, if that's what you want to call it, since Felix Unger-Sorm has played the way he has tonight, and let's just say, for sake of painting a picture here, he continues to play this way. Okay, yeah, maybe you don't want him playing center, but he's shown he's got the defensive competency to go almost anywhere in the lineup that it looks like, and he could play with it because he's a right-handed shot. You could potentially put him with Jordan Stahl and Jordan Martinook and have that effect, or you can keep Nadeau in the minors and have Felix Unger-Sorm in the top 6 if he continues to play the way he's playing now. We went from saying, okay, there's 1, maybe 2 rookies going to make this team, and now we're kind of like, okay, which ones? That was not the case before tonight. Now, does Felix Unger-Sorm maintain this? I hope so. Is it likely? I'm wagering to say yes right now. That was not a fluke performance from him. That was a I'm here, put me on the team, motherfucker performance that came from Felix Unger-Sorm tonight. And that's with me accounting for all the intangibles. That's not just the fact he scored 2 goals. I was writing all this stuff down before he scored.
Right.
I was like, this kid is making a case to be here. Let's get to some of the comments real quick here. Catherine Bartlett, I'm very sorry. I forgot your name last night when I was trying to give you a shout out on the show. I just said
that is a snap emoji. What's the other one on the left side?
Avalanche.
Okay. Well,
yeah, because I referred to her as the lady who likes the Avalanche and the Canes, because I couldn't remember her name and I didn't want to like accidentally call her something that like.
So she leans on a really good team, and then when the Canes are doing well, she leans on that. That's the best of both worlds.
I don't know. I had a disagreement. I had a disagreement with somebody on X today that had 8 teams in their profile that were. I don't know.
Oh my God! If you have 8 teams, I literally I got a little we won't talk about that. And I went.
Hold on. Let's do the comments first. Let's do the comments first, and we'll talk about that closer to the end of the show. So Catherine says, could Fuss be the next Jarvie if he follows up last year's camp with another stellar effort? This team might not feel like they have any choice but to keep him on the big league roster. That's what it looks like right now. As far as him being the next Jarvie, as in like, okay, you cannot send him back. If he continues to play this well, there's nothing for him to learn in Chicago. The only reason, the only reasons you could send him back to Chicago is 1, you don't have any room for him. 2,
right.
You think he needs to put some more muscle on. Understandable. He's only 19 or 20, so he's still got some growing to do.
He'll be 20 on the 19th.
He'll be 20 on the 19th. Okay, so he's still hasn't grown into his full body yet, but neither at Aho. Aho was 5'11", and not much. He was about as skinny as this microphone when he first showed up. Did you ever hear that story that Ray Ferraro told about him during the World Junior Championship a few years ago?
No.
Okay, so I don't remember exactly how it was worded, but I was watching one of the World Junior Championships, and he was talking about Aho, and he said that he was walking around like in a t-shirt and a pair of gym shorts, and he had like his little credentials to be down there, and everyone
Yeah.
thought that he was like a lost teenager or something, like that he was
Oh,
like 13 years old. And they're like, they walk up to him and they're like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Aho," because that's about all the he didn't speak any English back then. So then he had to show them the credentials, and they're like, "Oh, you're one of the players." Yeah.
I wonder if Nathan Gerby had to go through that every single game.
And Nathan Gerpy had enough facial hair though to where you knew that he was
But the guy's what, 5'6"?
no 5'4", I think actually Nathan Gerby
Oh,
is.
so that's even
I think
worse.
he's the smallest player in the history of the game, but he did not play like he was small at all. I love Nathan Gerby. This is one of my favorites.
Oh, he's a great guy.
Oh yeah, no, he seems like someone who'd just be fun to hang out with too. Catherine also says, of course, Jarvis didn't have an AHL option or an AHL option, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I really think that like this kid, if he maintains the level or exceeds it, even that he played tonight, they cannot send him back.
Jarvis?
Like, they can't. No, I'm talking about no. She's saying like how Jarvis made the case like you have to keep me and put me in the top 6,
like Unger Sorum.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's very similar because you had Jarvis that was, does he fit? But a guy that's picked 13th overall with Jarvis, you're like, I got to keep him. But Unger Sorum the same way. He was not a first round draft pick, but even then he was so close, like Seth Jarvis was when he first started. I would not be surprised if he fills in. So I get what Catherine is saying.
Well, that reminds me of something else, actually. Part of my argument for putting Jackson Blake with Jordan Stahl and Jordan Martinook, I think keeping him would be kind of like when Warren Fogle made the team the first time. The kid worked so hard they couldn't send him back. That's what I see happening with Jackson Blake if he were to make the team this time around. It's not necessarily a skill thing, even though I think that Jackson Blake has an excellent hybrid approach of skill and effort both. Because, like, I knew the kid had hands, but he really showed them off tonight with some of the stuff he was doing on entry. Like, I was really impressed with those guys in particular. And, you know, I really think they all have futures with this team. But we might be seeing Unger Sorum in the show full time before Nadeau. Like, if he keeps pushing this.
Oh,
let's see.
I think he's way ready than Nadeau.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I mean, they wanted to keep him last year.
The way he plays, he's ready than Nadeau. And I've seen like, you know, daily combinations. No, daily face-off.
Yeah. I
don't read
Nadeau
them a whole lot, but second line. And I'm like, Unger Sorum can easily be right there.
Yeah. Funny story about that here in a second. We'll get through this comment right here. Corporate accounts payable. Nina speaking says, I saw how much of a glue guy Martinook was, and I saw him play in their first round of playoffs under Rod. He has a hell of a ride since then and only become more valuable to the club in my eyes. Yes, I agree. Because there were a lot of people bitching about keeping Martinook. We were like, oh, well, we did. And I'm like, what the? Okay. If you take Jordan Martinook out of the equation, when he was the first player that the new regime traded for, they traded Marcus Kruger to get him.
Yeah.
Jordan Martinook.
I remember that, dude. I forgot.
Well, he had a forgettable season. He scored one accidental goal. He was standing in front of the net, he was forechecking, right? And whoever it was that he scored against, I don't remember who. I was half asleep because the team wasn't very fun to watch back then. And whoever the defenseman was, he's getting ready to break out. He starts to take a step around the net and he tries to send a pass. Kruger's got his stick right there. It goes off his stick and goes in the net. Marcus Kruger put more goals in the Hurricanes net as a Hurricane than he did the other end. I'm not kidding. I'm dead serious.
That's the Blackhawks, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he won a Stanley Cup for being terrible.
Well, he wasn't terrible. It's just he needed to be on the fourth line and kill penalties all the time. The problem is our fourth line was an AHL second line back then. That's how bad it was, because I'm like, all we did was take stuff from Chicago to help them stay under the cap. Trevor Van Riemsdyk, Marcus Kruger, Teuvo Teravainen.
Oh God,
Brian Bickle. Like, we just took all those guys. I mean, and you know,
Brian Bickle was solid. Just
I hated why his career ended though, because I mean that's why he was. I remember there was a Players Tribune article that he did where he was like, he couldn't figure out why his game had fallen off a cliff, and he was really disappointed about it. And I remember when we first traded to get him and Teravainen, I'm like, I think Bickle will benefit from a fresh start. I really do, because this guy was an excellent player, and then he just fell off a cliff. And then you realize,
just awful.
Yeah, it wasn't his fault. It was just the
No.
guy had an unfortunate condition, and it's really hard to detect it from what I understand about it.
I know people with MS, they'll lose their sight in their eye.
That's sad, man.
And it's a thing where you have to deal with it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But you can help it, but eventually it's not. You're not.
You can
going
treat
to,
it, but
you're not going to live until you're 80.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way it is. But it was so cool when he scored that goal.
The penalty shot.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Awesome.
With his wife and his daughters.
His wife and his daughters there, yeah.
There. And, well, besides that, Kruger was just I remember him and I was like, yes, he was on a Stanley Cup team. He can help us. And then he just...
Yeah, that was just... that whole year was just... I mean, that whole 9 years was just... But... So we... So
I
yeah,
wish Ferland played more for us.
That wasn't going to happen when he asked for $9 million when his contract was up. There was zero chance.
He asked for $9 million. He couldn't even walk straight.
Yeah, when his deal was expiring, because we only had 1 year left on his contract when we traded to get him in Hamilton, he apparently wanted, if I remember correctly, he wanted $9 million. And the Hurricanes were like, yeah, no, that's not happening. And then you remember he barely played in the playoffs because of the concussion problems.
Yeah,
and it
was terrible.
That's why Saku Manalainen and Patrick Brown and all them guys got called up, because he couldn't play.
That's right. That is right.
Oh, trust me, I remember that series really fucking well, especially considering I live up here.
Derek Ryan, I think, was on that team.
No, Derek Ryan left the season before that and went to Calgary to catch up with Bill Peters.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which I was kind of like, if he's going to go play anywhere, that's where it would be. But I like Derek Ryan, though. I thought he was a really good story.
Oh, he was very good. I don't know if he still plays.
Yeah, he still plays. He's on the Oilers.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, no, I really liked him. He was a really good story and everything. I just wish Bill Peters wouldn't put him out there on the power play and on 3-on-3. Like, he's a good player, but he's not that guy.
Bill Peters is just terrible.
He is, like, in
worst player, and then everything that happened in Calgary, just a piece of shit.
But yeah, Martinook, he doesn't put up a ton of points. He doesn't score a lot of goals. That being said, we've also seen Jordan Martinook when he does go on a heater, i.e. the playoff season before last. He wouldn't have gotten it, but he was making a Conn Smythe case with everything that he was doing. Like, he really was. Let's see what else we got in here. Dylan Bollinger, good to see you, bud. Just got here, watched some of the game, took pain relief, fell asleep. I'm curious who makes the team. Right now, my money's on Felix Ungerstorm. 100% on Felix Ungerstorm right now.
Yeah, fourth line. Well, obviously, you got guys that are already there, but I would do Ungerstorm.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't put Nadeau in there after, what Ungerstorm has shown everyone.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I look at
it's just been positive. With Nadeau, it's question marks. When
I look at it again at the end of training camp when they set the roster, the biggest question I'm going to ask myself, whoever makes the team and whoever doesn't, do they have anything that they can learn in the American Hockey League? If not, then there you go. When I look at Felix Ungerstorm today, I don't see a player that has anything to learn at the level below the NHL. I really don't. That's just me. I mean, that can change, but as of this particular moment in the earliest part of this ever-evolving situation that we call hockey, right now, he's got my vote.
I agree. I got to get ready to go after this question.
Okay. Catherine says, Blake has a steeper hill to climb with all the veterans competing for the bottom six roles like Tyson Yost, Eric Robinson, etc. Nadeau, Fuss have skill sets to fill a hole in the Canes lineup. I expect Blake in 2025. Yeah, that was the whole thing with when I was talking to you and Griff about it. If he can outcompete those guys, maybe he's got a shot, but she is right. He does have a tougher hill to climb. And then there's also the factor of Lemieux. I mean, I know he's typically a 13th forward, but when he was in the lineup for us last year, he was really damn good.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that's the only other thing about it, really. But yeah, when we get the chance, we'll talk offline about that exchange I had with that guy who had like 8 teams in his bio. He
Oh
shared
God.
an article from that that AHL reporter that him and I just don't really get along. He wrote another
Which
thing.
one?
The
No, which one? That sounds terrible.
No, there's only one. The one that wrote
I know who you're talking
the
about.
guy who always writes the hit pieces about the hurricanes and the wolves. He's apparently back to doing that shit, because when this guy shared it, I looked at it and I saw the link, and he blocked me a long time ago because of whatever. And I looked at it and I already knew who it was, and I'm like, I'd take that with a humongous grain of salt if I were you. But he's sitting here. How can Hurricanes fans not be outraged about this? Blah 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 blah. How little do you know about your own team? I'm just like, bro, how little do I know about? I intensely follow this shit. I followed that entire situation, and I called a couple of things about it before they materialized. So, I don't just decorate my room with hurricane shit for,
well,
no
you have
fucking
some,
reason.
but anyways, like I followed the Canes, not really, and then I started getting really into hockey, watching games in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
I watched, here and there, da 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 da, and was
Mm-hmm.
there through the dark years, and then obviously, well, just been through the dark years, and now doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
But what Catherine had to say, and I gotta go after this question.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, bottom six, Yost is not going to play. On opening night. Again, he was a top 10 pick from the Avalanche. He showed promise, but I don't know if Colorado butchered his development. He's still a really good player, don't get me
Mm-hmm.
wrong. And then Eric Robinson, just second line in the AHL, but can be an extra scratch. I would rather put Lemieux over Yost and Robinson. And Nadeau and Ungersorum. The way I saw him tonight, it's Ungersorum.
If
Nadeau,
Angersorm's going to make the team, though, he's got to be in the top 6. Same thing with Nadeau. Otherwise,
yeah,
we're doing him
100%.
disservice.
That's what I would say. I would say Ungersorum, KK, and Natchez. And that's it. I got to get going.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, B, and we'll see you tomorrow on our live stream.
That is right. What time is it at? 7?
7 o'clock.
Okay, I will be there.
I'm going to the state game tomorrow.
Oh, okay, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, make sure you tell all those not real hockey. I don't know if you saw that other post too, where some dude was complaining about how they're building all that stuff just because of the Canes, and the real NC State fans don't care about hockey and all this other shit.
Oh God, the real NC State fans. I have been through it thick and thin, but that's a totally different topic. All right, thanks, B. I'll talk to you later.
All right, buddy.
All right.
See ya. All right, let's get this fixed up right here. Alrighty, so that is going to be all for the show tonight. I appreciate all of you who commented in the chat and joined us and watched and all that type of stuff. I will try to do this again tomorrow as well. However, if you don't see me on here, you definitely will see me at 7 o'clock on Caniac Sessions. They stream on YouTube and on X as well, just like I do. So I will see you guys over there tomorrow if you can join us. Thank you all for everything. Y'all have a good night. I appreciate it. I will see you next time.